After my wife died, her son said, "We want the estate, the business, everything." My lawyer begged me to fight. I said, "Give it all to them." Everyone thought I'd lost my mind. At the final hearing, I signed the papers. The boys smiled until their lawyer turned pale when he read, "Married 11 years. Her sons from her first marriage never called me anything but him. She built the business from nothing. 40 employees, contracts that took a decade to land, never on paper as an owner. She died in March, fast, gone in 11 weeks. The older son called for the first time in years, said the estate needed to be handled properly given the circumstances. The circumstances being that I wasn't blood. Certified letters followed, wanting the house, the business, the accounts, everything with her name on it. Since that had always been our arrangement. Hers on paper, ours in practice. My lawyer was furious, said we had a real shot. I told him to drop all of it. Everything. No fight, no counteroffer. When he asked if it was grief talking, I told him it wasn't. I needed the document drafted exactly as asked. Full transfer, full waiver, every asset named individually instead of lumped as the estate. Unusual, he said. But he agreed once I explained why. The sons couldn't believe their luck. In the meetings before the hearing, I said almost nothing. Just let them talk about how their mother would have wanted this. By the second meeting, they'd stopped watching me closely at all. The way you stop watching something once you've decided it's already yours. The morning of the final hearing, I wore the suit she'd picked out for our last anniversary dinner. The one she said made me look like I actually owned a suit for once. I sat across from the boys and their attorney at a long table that still smelled like fresh polish, and for the first time since she died, I felt something close to calm settle into my chest. While we waited for the judge, the younger son leaned toward his brother and said, not quietly enough, that he'd already gotten a call about a buyer for the house, someone willing to close fast, cash. The older one asked about the business next, whether they should keep it running or sell the whole thing off in pieces. Their attorney told them to wait until the paperwork was final before making any calls, and the older son laughed and said, "What paperwork? It's already done. He's just signing it." The judge read through the waiver line by line, methodical, almost bored by how uncontested it all was, asking after each item if I understood I was relinquishing all claim voluntarily and without coercion. I said yes every time. The house, yes. The business, all assets and equipment, yes. The vehicles, yes. The accounts, yes. The older son was already half smiling by the third item, that particular smile people get when they're trying not to look too pleased in front of a judge. By the sixth, the younger one had his phone resting in his lap under the table, thumbs moving, probably telling someone it was really happening. Their attorney kept glancing at me like he was waiting for a catch that never came. Some objection, some last-second change of heart, none came. Nobody in that room was watching me closely anymore, and I understood, sitting there, that this was exactly the moment I'd been waiting 8 months for them to reach. I signed the last page. The judge set down her pen and asked if either party had anything further to add before the matter was closed. Their attorney stood first, practically glowing, and said no, everything was in order. His clients were entirely satisfied with the resolution as documented. Then, almost as an afterthought, he picked a final page back up to double-check the asset list against his own copy. His finger traced down the column of items, house, business, vehicles, accounts, the same list we'd already gone through out loud a minute earlier. He got to the bottom entry and stopped. He went back up to the top and started again, slower this time, mouthing the words. Not a skim, an actual read word for word, the slow, deliberate kind you do when something makes you go back and check you saw it correctly the first time. His face changed color in 4 seconds. He asked for a recess, pulled both sons into the hallway, and through the door his voice went from calm to something close to panic. What none of them checked, their attorney was so focused on catching me hiding something, he never looked at what the business actually was on paper, is that 8 months before she died, before she knew she was sick, my wife filed me as sole licensed operator of record on a state contract after a client required vendor-side leadership personally bonded and certified. The company was hers, now theirs, exactly as agreed. The contract, worth more than the rest of the business combined, quietly funding nearly everything else, was licensed to me. Non-transferable without new certification, 11 months minimum, history they didn't have. They got the company, not the thing keeping it alive. Their attorney came back alone, asked for a